It's Dina and Melba Pearson, and the Supreme Court has just issued an order allowing Trump to continue deportations of Venezuelans. Essentially, Trump, as you know, we have talked about this case quite a bit, had tried to deport Venezuelans who had temporary protected status. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people here in the United States. And the lower court had essentially stayed their deportations, saying that pending the actual litigation, the actual review of whether or not taking away their TPS status, the abbreviation for temporary protected status, was lawful. In the meantime, you can't send people back to Venezuela, basically keeping the status quo. The Supreme Court just saying now that Trump can go ahead and send people back to Venezuela while they are figuring out whether or not it's lawful to do so. I mean, every time we think the Supreme Court is finally seeing the light, holding Trump accountable, then you see an order like this. Lots to break down here. Melba, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So first off, temporary protected status is something that, came into being to assist people who are fleeing wars, famine, natural disasters, that sort of thing. And it gives them that temporary legal status to be able to be here, build a life and all of that. And so these folks are losing their status, not because of anything they did, not because of a criminal conviction, not because of it, just go. Like, we're just booting people out. And now this isn't like one or two people it affects. It's going to affect a total of 550,000 people in waves. So some folks are going to end up getting deported within the next week or so, and others, their temporary protected status, TPS, expires in September. So then there's going to be another wave of people who are subject to deportation back to a country that, by all reports, the administration, everyone agrees that Venezuela is not a good place, right? That it is a communist government, that people have been harmed for protesting and raising their voice, that sort of thing. So the issues, the underlying issues that caused the TPS to even come into existence have not been resolved. So you're sending people back for what? And it's just, again, it's just a mockery of the process. And it's just, I don't know, Dina, I'm just, every time I'm like, oh yeah. And I just get speechless, just at the depths of just hatefulness and depravity. And one other quick thought because I want to definitely hear your thoughts on this too. I live in South Florida, and there's a huge Venezuelan community here, and a good amount of them supported this administration. So I'm very curious to see the fallout that's going to come from that politically, and how that may be taken out down ballot to other, Congress people, others, because they're like, listen, none of you guys are standing up for us. And I guess they felt that they were sold this lie that they'd continue to be protected, or that it was only the Haitians who were going to lose their TPS. We're going to be fine. Well, guess what? Not quite the case. But yeah, Dina, what do you think?
I know. I mean, that's the thing. When you sign up thinking, oh, that racism, that hate, that whatever is directed toward that group, guess what? It comes to you too. So many things to break down here. I know Popak, we do the Supreme Court show Unprecedented, and he said again and again, always, that Trump was arguing two different sides, right? On the one hand, when he was arguing why they needed to quickly deport Venezuelans, it was because Venezuela was such a dangerous country. And then here, the whole idea of somebody getting this temporary protected status is, my country is too dangerous for me to be sent back. And so they were arguing completely two different sides. The Supreme Court basically allowing them. I mean, on the one hand, we have to note, this is not a substantive answer. The Supreme Court did not say substantively the cancellation of their TPS was lawful. You could argue that question of, is Venezuela too dangerous to send somebody back, is something the Supreme Court might ultimately not allow Trump to do what he's doing. The problem is, and the reason why the lower court stayed it, is because you're sending people back before you have decided if you are doing it lawfully or not. I mean, that's where we're at. That's like the insanity of it. And one of the factors that always goes into whether or not to have an administrative stay or injunction or anything like that is what's the harm going to be caused? And you are going to cause irreparable harm sending some of these people back. They have just proven in court. I mean, this is the thing, to get TPS status. I did pro bono work for asylum claims when I was at my law firm. And even though that wasn't my area of expertise, but we were always kind of trying to pitch in for different causes. And the idea, it is so difficult to get this status. Somebody doesn't just come into this country and get stamp of approval. I mean, you're going through the court system in a language that is not your first language. You are getting maybe a pro bono lawyer this is not even their area of expertise. It is very, very, very hard. It takes years to get this status. They are here legally. Trump campaigned on sending people away who were not here legally. They were here legally. They convinced a judge in our court system that they would be unsafe to be sent back. That judge's decision is not being honored by the Supreme Court by saying you could be sent back while we figure this out. The judge just decided, or not just, but at one point, the judge decided it was too dangerous for this individual to be sent back. So such a miscarriage of justice to the people who did the stuff we asked them to do, went through all the legal loopholes, convinced a judge in our justice system that they deserved legal status, even if temporarily. The point is, this isn't about Trump never being able to change policy, right? The executive always changes policy from administration to administration. It's about doing it in a lawful way. And then when the court allows them to deport people while you're figuring out if it's unlawful, that's the travesty of justice. In terms of the actual
process too, like just wanted to jump in on this one, due process too, because again, you're supposed to basically have a hearing before you're booted out of the country. And so basically the court is saying that due process is happening right now. So we're looking at whether or not you should go back. We're looking at whether or not this is really a stable country, or if the issues that originally caused it to be on the TPS list have been resolved, all of that. You're not allowing the process to complete itself. So that the due process doesn't mean like, oh, we're having a hearing and while the hearing's happening, you're on the plane back. It should mean you stay here, we figure it out. And then once we've come to a final conclusion, we either A, let you stay, or B, you have to go. And we give you time to figure out how you can get back there, where you're going to live, all of those things, versus you're being booted out of the country as if you did something wrong, which again, like you said, Dina, they went through such a long process. And this is not you willy-nilly just showing up and being like, hey, I want TPS. Again, there's, whether it's Ecuador and earthquakes, whether it's Haiti and natural disasters, and now rife with gang activity, murdering people left, right, and center. Like, these are real issues with real life consequences where people will die as a result of this policy. People are going to be sent back and they are going to die. That is literally what's going to happen.
And speaking about Haiti, I mean, they're not stopping at Venezuela. Trump has already announced they're planning on going after other groups, and they mentioned Haiti as well. I mean, this is about getting rid of immigrants, people of color, not about if somebody's here legally or not. And the court is allowing them to do it in the meantime. To point out, there was no official count. There was no reason giving. It was a very simple order. They do plan on looking this again substantively. I don't know if any, will that help the people? Who knows? But just to point out that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson made a point. She was the only one that made a point of saying that she would have dissented on this, which she's becoming, her phrase during that last argument regarding birthright citizen and national injunction, when she said, aren't you trying to create a catch me if you can regime, which, okay, I can think of no better legal description for this regime. She's becoming, she's always been like an intellectual center, I feel like, of this court since she joined. The two newer women, to be honest, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Amy Coney Barrett, kind of becoming very vocal, like speaking right to the point. Amy Coney Barrett jumping in and kind of eviscerating Trump's lawyer as well during that argument. But for her, Ketanji Brown Jackson, to make a note of saying she would have dissented when there was no practical reason to do so, no practical effect to do so, that combined with her comments outside the court, kind of calling out Trump, getting standing ovations of it, I think we're seeing the beginning of a maybe moral and ethical leader there on the court. What do you think?
I think so. And it's very interesting because you would never think this, but I learned this in a talk that I was honored to watch Justice Brown, Ketanji Brown Jackson, talk about her experience in the road there and everything else. She actually is kind of friends with Amy Coney Barrett.
Mm.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it because you're kind of like two completely different mindsets, backgrounds, religious beliefs, all of that. But they formed a friendship despite the differences in their ideology. And I think that's actually going to serve us well moving forward because, they can share different perspectives with each other. And I think it's also enabling, Justice Coney Barrett to speak up more and to be a bit more forceful in some of these, travesties that we see coming before the court. And she's being a little bit more willing to call out certain things. And that's amazing, especially in light of the fact that she was appointed by this president in his last administration. So there's no question of like, oh, this is the woke liberal wing. It's your people telling you what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah, no, it's true. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Justice Scalia had a famous friendship despite being on the opposite sides. And yeah, I mean, I think as long as you hold your beliefs, but you're not being hateful to somebody else, using your beliefs against somebody else, and you're respectful in your dialogue, there's definitely going to be some real life consequences to this. So we will keep you updated. Free subscribe to the Legal AF channel. We're here at the intersection of law and politics, here to break it down for you so you don't miss any of these very important subjects. While they distract with all of their crazy posts and all that, we will make sure that you're informed about the legal rights of you, your family, your loved ones, and your community.
Nothing but the facts. That's what we're about here at Legal AF.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.